Hi, I'm River Lightbearer from River Evolutions Healing, Channeling, and Coaching, here to help you create and evolve into your best life. One of the tools that I offer to people who come to me for help on their journey to create their best life is oracle card readings. And I'm really excited about this because I've actually just officially started offering these this week. I've been working with clients doing card readings for a while now, but it was more for practice for me because I want to make sure that not only are my skills at a level that I'm able to be of highest benefit to my clients, but also want to make sure that when I do the readings for people, the entire experience is beneficial to them and is comfortable for them. So, I wanted to talk a little bit about what oracle cards even are because you may not have heard of them, and there's different information out there about them. So, I wanted to share my perspective about oracle cards. Oracle cards are intended as, well, some people call them a divination tool, but they're not meant to like foretell the future. Oracle cards are more intended to offer you guidance, perspective, encouragement. The cards in a in an oracle deck each have a specific message, and those messages are printed directly on the card most of the time. Not all decks are the same, but often the message is printed directly on the card. And there are additional interpretations that you can make of the card based on the imagery, based on the wording, based on the guidebook that comes with the deck, because Oracle decks usually come with a guidebook that give you more in-depth meanings for the cards and more in-depth messages that the cards offer. There are a wide variety of Oracle decks available. There are different themes, there are different types of images. Some have photographs, some have drawings, some have really beautiful paintings. The themes, the themes vary. There isn't a set number of cards either. If you're familiar at all with tarot, in a tarot deck, there are always 78 cards. 22 are the major arcana, and then the rest fall into the four suits of the minor arcana in tarot. In oracle, there aren't suits, there aren't arcana, there's just cards with messages on them. And that makes them somewhat more accessible to some people who either don't feel comfortable with tarot because of the associations of it, um, or who don't want to learn how to look at a card and interpret all the different symbolisms and meanings. Oracle cards are fairly simple because the meanings are on the cards. I have been working with the same deck of Oracle cards since 2006, and I'm going to share more about my deck next week, so I'm not going to get too in depth with it right now. But I love using the Oracle cards because they're not going to tell me what to do. They're not intended to tell you what to do. They're not intended to tell you what the future holds. The basic idea of oracle cards is here is information that you need for your life. And the information might be applicable to the future. When I do readings, sometimes the messages are applicable for a few months in the future, or they might be applicable right now, but they're not, it's not going to be a prediction. Like it's not going to be you pull a card and it says in 6 months your job will change. It might have a message that relates to spreading your wings and getting, which means, put yourself out there because maybe that relates to a job search that you're going to have. um, Or there might be a card that offers you encouragement and a reminder that things are going to improve. That's the sort of message that you're going to get with an oracle card reading. Card readings, like any type of divination or messages that you receive along these lines, are not intended to diagnose medical issues. They're not intended to provide legal advice or medical advice. They're, I often give the disclaimer that these are for entertainment purposes only, because I want to make sure that people understand, I'm not a doctor, not a lawyer, I'm a card reader. And if you make choices of actions in your life based on a card reading, whether it's one you're doing for yourself or one someone else is doing for you, you have the right to make that choice. You have total free will, but the choice is entirely your responsibility. Um, so I always recommend that if you have a card reading done, make sure that you're approaching it as, this might give me some ideas, and not, this is going to be advice about how to live my life. I love working with oracle cards. It just makes me really happy, and so I'm excited that this is something that I'm offering to individual clients now through River Evolutions. And yeah, I'm going to do a couple more videos this month about oracle cards, and as I said, next week's will be more about the specific deck that I use and how it came to be. But I found oracle cards at a time in my life when I was struggling with an abusive marriage. I knew I needed to get out, but I had 2 kids. I didn't have a job. I didn't know what was going to happen in my life or how to make things better. And I found a deck of oracle cards at a store and started using them, not to answer, not to make my decisions for me, but just, well, how might this turn out? What do I need to consider as I'm making these plans? And I felt supported and reassured by the cards. And so I recommend card readings to anyone, whether it's with me or with somebody else. I mean, I'm doing this informatively. Um, but, you know, the cards in an oracle deck often give you reassurance and comfort and encouragement along with whatever the message is. So it might be something that will benefit you. Thanks for tuning in to this short video. And if you are interested in learning more about oracle cards or about energy healing, about channeling, all of the stuff that I talk about or will be talking about on this channel, please subscribe to the channel. If you have questions or thoughts, please drop a comment below. If you have an oracle deck that you've used that you really would strongly recommend, I would love to hear about it. So go ahead and leave that in the comments. And I will be back next week. Meanwhile, take care.